Hi, welcome to Beyond Politics. I'm Catherine Clark. NDP MP Charmaine Borg is one of 7 children from Keswick, Ontario. Last April, she was a student at McGill University and co-president of the McGill's NDP Student Association. And by May, she was a member of parliament for Terrebone-Blainville. Charmaine Borg may be young, but she's dynamic and she's committed to her new job as a Quebec member of parliament, and she joins me now to talk all about her new life beyond politics. Charmaine Borg, welcome to Beyond Politics. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
But I should say welcome to Ottawa, too, because you're one of the young new members of parliament who came in the 2011 federal election. And it has probably really been a crash course for you in Ottawa life, I have to imagine. Has it been an adjustment?
I mean, it certainly is an adjustment for everyone who's first elected. It's such a unique job that, I mean, I studied in politics and I was very involved in the political scene, but until actually getting there, you don't know all the nook and crannies of everything. So.
Right. So I'm going to ask you the question that, and the types of questions at the beginning that everyone else has probably asked you, because first of all, you're really young. I mean, I don't mean to sound patronizing, but when I was reading it, I was thinking to my husband, oh my gosh, I feel really, really old. So you're 22?
21, actually.
You're 21. Yeah. Okay, my apologies for making you older than you are. And you were part of the NDP club at McGill, is that right? Okay. And so give me a sense of what happened in the last election in terms of you running. What was the decision? How were you approached?
So I've been involved in the NDP for a while in Montreal, in the Montreal-area, and I was also working for a union at the time as well.
Right. And based out of McGill?
Yeah, based out of McGill for support employees.
Yeah.
And then I was also co-president of the NDP McGill Club, and they approached me and asked me if I was interested in running, and I said yes.
There were a group of you from the McGill NDP Club who ran. Did they approach all of you and just basically say, look, we need...
well, they approached us all individually, and I mean, we were very involved in our community, and we really wanted to get youth involved in politics. So I think they saw us as, and I hope they saw us as great candidates. So,
and what was the election like for you?
Well, I mean, I put my name forward in a riding where the NDP didn't really do that well. I mean, we've had elections where we got like 4%. So.
Sure.
So I wasn't really expecting to win like a lot of the people within the NDP.
Right.
But so it was quite shocking to see the polls rising and rising and rising. So it was also a wonderful feeling because it's something you worked so hard for so long, and everyone tells you, oh, the NDP, you guys are never going to win. You're never going to win.
Yeah.
And then you do. So it was a great feeling.
What was that feeling like during the election as you're seeing the polls go up? And because I've got to imagine that it's both, in a way, if you're looking at the polls in your own riding and you're not necessarily expecting to win, because every election, whether people like to say it or not, has candidates who are put forward because the party needs a candidate and wants to represent their opinions and their views, and not because there's a sense that that candidate can necessarily win. That happens in ridings across the country. Mm-hmm. But what was it like to be a candidate of that nature, as committed as you are, and to see the polls going up and to think, oh my gosh, this might actually happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, this is something I've always wanted to do. I mean, this has been a lifelong goal of mine. I've always wanted to go in politics. I wanted to be elected eventually. I certainly didn't expect it to happen so young and so early in my life. But I mean, for me, it was, first of all, just seeing the NDP do so well was just so exciting. Yeah. And to see myself potentially being elected was also very exciting.
Right. What was election night like?
Election night was, my heart was beating very, very quickly all night. My sister actually drove down to come see me. She drove about 6 hours just to come, just in case I got elected. And I was very excited. And it was, everyone in the room was winning, which is such a unique experience because it never happened before. You just see all these people jumping up and down everywhere. So it was quite the night.
It must have been really surreal.
Yeah, it really was.
Had you been to your riding?
I had been to my riding.
Yeah. And I understand that you've had like major changes since becoming elected, like you have a car now.
Yeah, I never had a car before, no.
Well, frankly, why would you? You're a student.
Well, I mean, in an urban area, so you don't really need one. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have a place in your riding now? Where,
Yeah.
home?
I've been there for a while now, and I live right in the Terrebone, which is a very beautiful sector of my riding.
And what's it been like? How have your constituents reacted?
They're really excited, actually. They voted for change, and I think I really represent the change that they voted for. I'm young, I have fresh new ideas, and I have a lot of passion for what I do, and I think they can see that. So they're very excited, and actually a lot of older constituents have kind of adopted me as kind of their
surrogate grandchild.
Yeah, their surrogate grandchild, which is great because they're so lovely, and they take good care of me.
So tell me a bit more about that. I mean, because there's a good side and a bad side to that. The good side is that you've got people who are really interested in you and who really want you to succeed and who are going to help you along the way, as much as you're helping them as their member of parliament. The bad side is that there are people who think you're too young to be doing the job. So how do you deal with those two disparate
Well,
angles?
I mean, for those people who think that you're too young to do the job, I think you just have to prove them wrong. I mean, I think I've done a good job in my riding, and I hope I've done a great job because my constituents deserve the best MP they can have.
Right.
And I think that once you have that chance to prove them wrong and say, no, I'm here because I care and I want to do a good job and I want to help you and I want to help my constituents achieve great things and let their voices be heard, I think that you can prove them wrong. And I think that all of our young MPs have done a great job at doing that, actually.
Yeah. And in terms of the good side of people trying to take care of you, is that okay with you? I mean, do you feel...
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of a natural tendency, and I've actually spoken to some of my older colleagues, and they're like, oh, it's the same for me, too.
Oh, okay,
good. But it's great, too, because, I mean, if they do need something, they'll never hesitate to ask, and it's kind of like a support system, so it's great.
And tell me what the biggest shock has been for you. Has there been, since becoming a member of parliament, has there been one element of the job that's just been really surprising?
I mean, I was really involved in politics, and I had a really good idea of what it was. So there's nothing that really, I guess, shock and awed me.
Yes.
But there are a few things. I mean, there's simple things you don't realize, like, when you go to the grocery store, you have to talk to everyone, and it's going to take you 3.5 hours to do your groceries.
Right.
Those kind of things.
Right.
So.
Does that happen to you?
Yes, it does.
Do they pick at you at every aisle, or is it are you particularly vulnerable in the vegetable section?
No,
it's open.
I can see you. I don't know. It's kind of mixed, I guess.
Yeah. What about the commute to Ottawa? Has that been a bit of a...
How
long is the drive?
It's only about 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's not so bad.
So it's really not so bad.
Yeah.
It would take me that to drive in traffic anyway to get to Montreal if I wanted to. So I'm really thankful compared to some of my some of my colleagues who are coming from British Columbia. So it's a heck of a lot easier than that.
For Yukon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So give me a sense of what's happened with your schooling, too. Have you held off on that? Or
well, for now, I'm just, I put my studies on hold, and I was in discussion with the university to see what we could do, but it's still kind of ongoing. So.
You do summer school.
Yeah, well, even at that, I don't know if I've had much time for that.
No,
yeah, I mean, I've decided that my number one priority is my constituents, and if I have time to study, I have time to study, but right now it's not really my priority.
I think that's probably a wise decision because, like with anything, if you're going to do a job well, you have to really focus on it.
Exactly,
and be prepared to spend the time, and it would be a lot to be trying to continue a course of study and be a member of parliament.
Yeah, exactly,
Tell me what your family reaction was when you told them first that you were running. Let's start there. How did your family?
Well, when I told my mother, I got approached and I think I'm going to run, and she's like, Charmaine, you don't have time for this, because I was working 2 jobs. I was full-time studies, and I was very active, volunteering here and there. So she's like, Charmaine, how do you think you're going to have time for this? And I said, I'll find time. It's okay. It's the elections. It's important. She's like, okay, fine. And I mean, she was ecstatic. She was really proud of me, and I guess she knew I'd always do this eventually, but she was very happy for me.
Like, you really knew that this was
I mean, I didn't know. I mean, it's always hard to know if you're going to get elected or not, if people are going to vote for you, but I mean, she certainly knew that I was going to involve myself, and I've always been someone who's very involved. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about how that started. was that something that developed in your teenage years, or was that something that came as early as when you were a little kid?
When I was a little kid, maybe I had some tendencies, but I wouldn't remember. Yeah. My earliest memories of really wanting to stand up and speak for people is my teenage years. Yeah. So, I got really involved in the war in Afghanistan. I was really against it, and I started a youth theater group for underprivileged children in my community, right. And I think that really gave me a sense of this is what you can do if you get yourself involved, and you can help others, and you can make changes in people's lives.
Yeah. So. Why did you start that theater group?
Well, I had always done theater. I used to sing, do theater. It's very, very, theatrical.
Yeah.
And I realized that the groups, the activities that I had taken when I was little were no longer available. So I went to my friends who had also done theater, and I said, hey, let's start it. And they're like, okay, let's do it. And it was crazy. We were 15, and we had 52 kids.
52 kids? Oh, my gosh.
But we made it work.
Wow. Was it like a weekend type class?
It was once a week, and they came, and then we put on a big play, and it was really great. You really saw how you can give self-confidence to someone and tell someone you can do this if you try.
And what kind of issues were these children dealing with?
The town that I'm from isn't necessarily the most well-off town, and there's a lot of welfare. There's a lot of people who can't find jobs because it is kind of an isolated community in that sense. So there's just a lot of people who don't have money to. Theater can be really expensive. They can be like $600 for a session or whatnot. So. To me, I wanted it to be accessible, and so it was free. It was completely, if your kid wants to do this, they can do it. So.
Wow, that's really remarkable. And you had such a response from the community if you had 52 kids.
We weren't expecting that
many.
What
kids? Like, how old were these kids?
It went from 4 till 12. So,
wow.
We broke them up in age groups. But it was pretty.
That's
pretty
remarkable.
crazy.
So how long did you run that program then?
It went on for a year.
Okay.
And then we were going to renew it, but there is some difficulties with the town. So.
Yeah. Tell me how you became involved in social justice issues. You talked about the war in Afghanistan, but was there something that went on at home too? Were you one of those families that had these discussions around the dinner table?
Really not. My family was actually not political. I was always kind of teaching my parents, okay, this is who you vote lower, this is this party, this is this party. Yeah. And I remember there was actually a referendum to change the electoral system, and my parents were like, okay, I don't understand. Yeah. So I'd sit down with them and be like, okay, this is this system, and they want to change it for this. And but I guess just seeing my community and seeing my parents work so hard their entire lives, and then say, okay, why aren't they getting a break here? There's something wrong. And I guess in expanding my studies too, and reading about what was going on in the world, I just became very involved.
Tell me, what do you mean about why aren't they getting a break? Did they have a tough situation that they were dealing with? Or?
For a normal working class family, things aren't always easy. You're always struggling to make ends meet.
Right.
So I guess that was very obvious to me.
Yeah. Tell me about your family. How big's your family, or how small?
A very big family.
You do,
yes.
eh?
I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters.
Oh my gosh, you really do have a really big family. Wow.
Yeah, we can form our own soccer team.
Yes. That's an exceptional start for electoral politics, too.
So, yeah.
You just need to get them all to move to your new riding and organize for you.
Yeah. So I'm actually right in the middle, too. So I have older brothers, younger brothers.
Okay.
So, a little bit of everything.
Wow. And what was it like growing up in your household?
It was crazy. You have to be very independent as well, because when you have that many siblings, your mom doesn't have time to take care of everyone. So it's okay, fend for yourself. I know you're going to do a good job, and you get a lot of the sense of responsibility too, and independence, and you can kind of flourish to be your own person, which is really great.
Did you ever feel that you were really on your own?
I knew that if I was in a sticky situation and I got myself in that sticky situation, I better get myself out, because no one else will.
That's a good basis for politics.
There you go.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Were you a caregiver for some of your younger siblings?
Yes. My little brother especially, because I was about babysitting age when he was old enough to be babysat. So, we're very close in that respect, because I really was there for him.
That's very nice to be able to develop those kind of relationships with siblings.
Yeah.
Did any of them help out on your campaign?
No, they didn't.
Yeah. Well, they're all at different stages of their lives.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
Right? And how old is your youngest?
The youngest sibling, she is 8.
Oh,
choose 8.
wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And, great exposure for them, too, to be able to see you doing something like being a member of Parliament. If there's ever a good reason for anyone to have a crash course, then they will see it right there.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like I said, my family's not very political, so I'll see them watching CPAC sometimes, and they'll write to me, "Oh, I saw you." So
that must be a thrill.
Yeah.
Wow. So, one of the things that interested me too is your commitment to the French language. You went to school in French from quite a young age. Yeah.
Well, my entire schooling until I went to university was done in French.
Did you choose that, or did your family?
Well,
choose
when
that?
you're 3 years old, I mean, your parents choose. But
so why did your mom, or why did your?
Well, she's a francophone. My entire my entire mother's side of my family is all francophone.
Right.
And, so quite frankly, I mean, it was an obvious choice for her that we needed to be able to communicate with our family. So my household was very bilingual. And my father is Anglophone and my mom is Francophone. So when you're talking to my mom, you speak in French. When you're talking to my dad, you speak in English.
Okay.
So going between 2 languages.
Okay. You had to travel a really long way, though.
Yes.
To get to school.
Yes. Well, I mean, the Francophone community is very small where I'm from.
Right.
So I went to a high school. When I started there, they had about 120 students. We had 2 hallways in an Anglophone school because we didn't have enough money for our own
wow.
school. And it took me about an hour and a half bus ride there and an hour and a half back. So, yeah.
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Did you resent that at any point?
I knew it was worth it in the end. And to this day, I mean, I moved to Quebec because I wanted to keep speaking French.
Yeah.
And to me, that's always been a very important part of my identity and who I was. So I never really regretted it.
It's got to be pretty fantastic to be able to speak both languages so fluently. Do you need them both in your writing, or is it predominantly French?
In my writing, it's predominantly French.
Yeah.
But I do find that on the Hill, it's very, very useful to be able to speak both languages, especially because there can tend to be a political divide between Quebec and the rest of Canada. But because I can speak both languages, I feel like you can make the rest of Canada understand what the reality is in Quebec. So it's been very useful to me.
Give me a sense of what it was like on your first day walking into the House of Commons.
Well, my heart was beating quite vividly. And you have just a sense of pride and honor. And you said, okay, there's 308 people in all of Canada who have the honor and privilege to sit in there, and I'm one of them. So you definitely have that sense of pride and honor.
Did you at any point ever think, what have I done?
No.
You didn't?
Never.
Okay. Because I probably would have walked in and been like, oh boy, I don't think I signed up for this.
Well, no, I just embraced it from the beginning. It's something that I've wanted to do my entire life. So for me, it's just, okay, let's go, let's do this.
What's the biggest thing that you've had to change about your life in order to adjust to the new situation?
The biggest thing I've had to change is...
high heels?
Well, no, I was used to wearing heels. I guess the biggest thing would be, I used to be I had lots of friends, but I used to be so busy that I wouldn't really have time to constantly be around people. So I guess that would be the one thing is constantly being around people and always having someone next to you. So, yeah, that's something.
Yeah. Have you found it difficult to work in the partisan environment in the House of Commons, or is it less partisan than we're led to believe?
Well, I think right now it's much more partisan than I've heard that it was in the past under a minority government. So I was hoping, because I knew MPs before, and I talked to them, and they'd say, like in committees we can get stuff done, and we can push things through. And Jack's slogan was "Travaillons ensemble," so let's work together. And so you get there with this hopeful, this hopeful idea that you can work together. But it has been a little bit more rough, I guess, this session, this past session.
Have people been gentle with you because you're new and you're young?
I wouldn't say so.
No?
No. If anything, I get a lot of, maybe the member doesn't know because, I just embrace it and I say, no, actually I do know that, and I'm going to prove you wrong on this. So.
Well, good for you. Has it been tough in that regard? Dealing with some of the patronizing.
Well, you do have to, I guess that's a challenge of being going against the grain is you have to prove. I mean, people from the beginning, since May 3rd, they say, oh, you're too young to do this. But you have to stand up and say, no, I'm not too young to do this, because youth do have a voice, and, you know, we're intelligent people, and we have an idea of what we want for our generation and future generations. So I have just as much of a voice as anybody else here.
Sure.
Yeah.
And frankly, I mean, experience counts for a lot, but you have a skill set and the knowledge of the generation coming behind you, which is as substantial as the knowledge that older members of Parliament would have of their own group of peers, and that's pretty important, because the group following you are the ones that are going to be making the major decisions as well. What kind of comfort has it been that there are other young members of Parliament to
It's been a great comfort. I mean, there's certain things that we can talk about, and I also think that I mean, I know we had Nikki Ashton before, and she used to say, before I was elected, she used to be the youngest, and she would say, you know, I always have trouble standing up and raising a youth issue because everyone looks at me like, why are you talking about that? But now it's so much easier because we're 22, 32 and under, so we can stand up and say, no, these are important issues. We need to talk about this, and having many more of us in numbers really helps with that.
What's it been like dealing with media, too? Because there's been a lot of media interest, not just in the fact that there's a whole bunch of new members of Parliament, but also that you're a young group of people as well. Has it been, and even on the issues, I mean, even on the specific issues that you're representing for your own constituents and for the country, what's that been like?
Well, the media has been, I mean, like I said from the beginning, May 3rd, they're to say, okay, you guys are too young, and who are these people? I mean, there's this great mystery. I mean, there's these 59 new Quebec MPs. Who are they, right? So I think that a lot of what we had to do was say, hey, I'm this person, I did this, and I did this, and my colleague did this, and then they start to realize, oh, you guys all are great candidates and great MPs. So I think that was a lot of the challenge in the beginning.
Tell me how your leader's death affected you as well, because that is something that stunned the whole country. Everyone knew how sick he was in July, but no one really knew what was coming. And I think even some MPs, I mean, everyone always has hope. So what was that like for you to be a new MP and to lose your leader as well? Before you could even take your seat? Well, I mean, you'd already taken your seat for part of it, but before you came back for this fall session where you thought you were going to be led into this session by your leader.
Well, I mean, for me, the NDP has always been Jack, because I was, you know, I got involved when he was leader. So, so it was very difficult at first, and I mean, he was a very inspirational man, and when I was younger and used to say I wanted to go into politics, people would say, no, Charmaine, you're too nice. And I'd say, yeah, but look at Jack. You can be a nice politician. So to me, it was very hard, but also, I mean, and I remember Jack telling us this when we first got elected. He said, this is the future of our party. And he used to point to our young members and be like, this is the future of the NDP, and I couldn't be prouder. And after his death, I kind of reflected on that and said, you know, we have to carry on what he started, because, like he said, we are the future of this party. So we really need to carry on with his message, and that has been really my objective. So,
give me a sense of what you do when you're not being political. Do you have a chance to do things outside of the political spectrum, either here in Ottawa or now in your riding?
Well, I mean, it is a job that takes about 24 hours a day. But when I do try to disconnect, I do like to go for runs once in a while, do some yoga, be active. Just catch up with old friends, too, who are still in university and live completely different realities.
Is it a totally different reality now?
Well, I mean, I'm still Charmaine, you know, I'm still the same old girl I used to be, and I've always been crazy about politics, so for them it's like, okay, here's Charmaine, let's talk about politics for an hour. But for some of my friends it's a little strange, but for most of them it's still the same thing it used to be.
And when you're driving here, do you listen to music, or do you drive in silence and think about the...
And mainly, I catch up on phone calls. If not, with Bluetooth. And if not, I listen to the news or music.
Okay. So are you one of those people that watches The National as your favorite television program, or?
I mean, I try to watch as much news as I can, just to you never know who's going to say what. So I like to get all perspectives. But
so do you watch TV other than to watch the news? Or CPAC?
I'm addicted to The West Wing. I think all politicos are, though. So.
Yeah. Is it still running?
No.
You're just watching.
No, you have to rewatch it. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Well, that's valuable. That's a valid show to watch. And do you read? Are you reading?
Yeah, actually, I read mainly nonfiction, but when I try to disconnect, I read some nonfiction.
Yeah. And you were studying, what I found interesting, you're studying Latin American studies,
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, as well as poli-sci.
Yeah. Why that particular area of interest?
I was very interested in particularly the evolution into democracy and all the revolutions, and it's a very, it's just an area that has gone through so much politically that it really interests me. So that's mainly why.
You were actually going to go
to Mexico,
and study for a semester or for a year?
For a semester. Yeah.
Okay. And you had to put that on hold, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
Do you speak Spanish?
Well, it's a little less good as it used to be.
Yeah.
But, I used to be okay, and I was hoping to go there and really immerse myself and really perfect it, but I've lost a lot of it now. So.
Sure. When you think about it, when you have time to think about it, is this something that you plan to be doing for the next little while? I mean, is this where you feel that you're comfortable and you've found your niche?
Well, I don't think anyone should set out to be a career politician. I don't think that's what a member of parliament is supposed to be. I'm definitely going to seek re-election, and it's up to my voters to see if they're going to re-elect me or not. But, we'll see what happens from there. But I'll definitely always be active for social justice issues and very active in the political world, but I'm not necessarily sure that I will want to be in politics for 30 years.
Yeah. Although you never know. I mean, it has been, it was kind of a surprise entrance in many ways. Mm-hmm. So I guess asking you at this stage whether this is something that you want to continue doing for a little while is probably not fair, because maybe in the first few months you were thinking, I'll do this for
No, actually, on the contrary, I've always, I definitely from day one, I knew I wanted to run for re-election, and ultimately it's up to the voters.
Yeah.
So you can't really make that decision completely yourself. But
has it been difficult trying to get to know those voters, to get to know your constituents? What with all of the, all of the media interest, like we talked about, and the focus on the young members who were elected from Quebec. Has it been difficult to try and get to know your constituents on a neutral level as just Charmaine, your new MP?
Actually, it's been a lot easier than I might have thought it was at the beginning, because not everybody reads the Globe and Mail. They read the local newspapers.
Sure.
So for them, I was their MP. I was Charmaine Borg, and that was that. And I set out right in the beginning, and I went to go meet people. I went door knocking. I went to events, and I just went out there and wanted to meet everybody, wanted to know what was on their mind, what were their concerns. So it's been, I guess, good on that perspective,
Yeah. Charmaine, I'm so glad you took the time to be here today. It's been a pleasure to chat with you. I'm really glad to get to know you a bit better, and I know that we'll all watch your career with interest over the next few years. And maybe we'll have a chance to chat again.
Yeah.
And see how your opinion of the political system may or may not have changed.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
CPAC is ceremonies. CPAC, politics in action.
Excuse me, we'd like a quick word with you on Outburst, the show that lets everyday Canadians express their opinions on politics.
I don't agree with our current government's politics.
The economy.
The economy, well, politics.
And more.
I think Canada is a good role model for the rest of the world.
Join me, Tony Bergie, with Glenn McInnes and Heather Seaman on Outburst. See it on CPAC, Politics in Action.
From the calm and collected,
Mr. Speaker, we're working on the best advice of the Canadian industry,
to the rough and tumble.
You, sir, are a bully.
I heard something that was unparliamentary. I'll ask the honourable members to rephrase the question.
Question period. See it on CPAC.